Most Amazon sellers are losing money every single day to a silent profit killer. It's not storage fees or bad sourcing strategies, it's the infamous race to the bottom. And if you sell on Amazon, you already know what I'm talking about. It's when repricers are competing versus each other and they always just drop a penny, and eventually it literally is a race to zero. So in today's video, I'm gonna show you 3 different ways I was able to protect my margins and ultimately grow a healthier, more long-term business on Amazon. No fluff in this video, so let's get straight to it. All right, so jumping into it right now, 3 main ways I was able to protect my margins as a reseller on Amazon, and something that every reseller should be doing if you're serious about selling in 2026, because the game has changed, and I'll tell you about it right now. Number 1, I switched to brand direct wholesale. So if you guys are reselling on Amazon, most likely you are doing arbitrage. So you're either going to a retail store or you're doing online arbitrage. So number 1, that's gonna be a huge race to the bottom, right? Because anybody can buy these products. So for me personally, I did a little bit of arbitrage. I never went too deep into it, but what I did go deep in is wholesale. And specifically just reselling wholesale. So I wasn't offering any services to my partners, wasn't really different from anybody else. So I'd buy it and I'd send it into Amazon, and then Joe Schmo would do it too. So actually I got into a bunch of repricing wars even as a wholesaler, and that's something that nobody tells you until you switch to brand direct wholesale. That will eliminate 90% of your issues with margin, with competing with sellers, the race to the bottom, everything like that. But even in this model, me as a brand direct wholesaler, I still have plenty of ASINs that I need to reprice. It's not like I'm just exclusive on everything I sell. So switching to this model was the best way I was able to protect my margins. If you guys are selling on Amazon, just buying and flipping stuff, start targeting brand direct accounts or authorized wholesalers. It'll lead you to brands. You'll have a much healthier business. Second thing I did, I avoided rule-based repricing. So that's something that every repricer out there on the market, at least for the last 5 years, would be like, hey, we're gonna get you the most sales possible, right? And everybody wants sales. Everyone wants to see those orange bars grow. But what does that mean if there's no profit? And what does it mean if we all race to the bottom? So this is the problem with rule-based repricing. Basically just says, hey, if seller A lowers the price to 1 cent and I'm seller B, I wanna lower it too. And then somebody else says, hey, they lowered it, I'm gonna lower it. And after a while, sellers continue to lower. Oh, nobody's making sales, let's lower it again. And it continues on and continues on. So here's the price. I drew a little graph here. Price and sellers. So as a listing starts out, it looks good, right? If you're sourcing from a wholesaler or from an online website and it looks profitable, 20% margin, boom, that's great. You go and buy it. But you don't understand that depending on your model, you may have 5 to 50 other people also seeing that deal. So as more sellers come on, seller count increases. What happens to the price? It drops. I didn't put it all the way to 0 because you know how it is. People will sell for something. They'll get some money back, but they're making no money, no profit actually. So with this model, this is good if you have tons and tons of inventory. You're able to get it in, get it quick, turn it, boom, you're churning, right? That's like what resellers are banking their entire livelihood on. They're gonna find more products, they're gonna sell them before more sellers join the listing. It's very, very unlikely for an arbitrage seller or a general wholesale seller to find a listing, sell it for a year, and the price is always just consistent, right? Like you're gonna be bouncing up and down. And then the third thing I personally did was I signed up for Seller Snap. And I know this is gonna sound like straight promo, but it's not. This is easily the best repricer on the market, and I've tried multiple. Won't name drop them right now, but I've literally tried 3 other repricers, didn't have good success at all. I switched to Seller Snap, and I should put AI here because it's really their AI repricer that I'm a huge fan of, and ultimately why you need to get rid of rule-based repricing. So the way that you can do these things, and let's say, it's very hard to sit and sell profitably if other sellers are joining the listing, right? So it's a multitude of things that went into how I was able to protect my margins personally. But for any of you guys watching, even if you are not doing any brand direct wholesale, you have some products you're buying and selling, it's still a good idea to go with Seller Snap. So the thing is it used to be crazy expensive, $500 a month. They're really targeting high-level sellers. but their AI repricer was worth it. After a while though, they started coming out with more and more better tiers. So even if you're doing like 10, 15K a month, you can get on a tier that makes sense for you. So when I switched to SellerSnap and I switched my model, I no longer was just chasing quick sales, right? I didn't do rule-based repricing anymore. It wasn't necessary. I have a completely different model on Amazon. How I look at it now is I'm like an investor, right? So I find these brands, I find these wholesale accounts that have profitable products, and I'm investing in them. I might not sell it in the first 30 days. If there's competition on the listing, might not happen at all. But what I like to do instead is negotiate a profitable price, and then in SellerSnap, I will set a min price, a max price. So I can jump into my dashboard. If it's not this video, I'll do it in another one because I want to do a more in-depth video on SellerSnap. But all we do is set a min, a max, and say, hey, AI, go to work. So there's a lot of people that overthink your repricing strategy. I've been one of them as well. Some guys have 50 million different presets. Sure, that might be useful for certain cases. If inventory is not moving, yeah, you're going to want to be more aggressive, right? But for me personally, like I said, I'm looking at this from an investment portfolio stance. Yes, I have bills. Yes, I got credit cards I got to pay off. Yes, we need to move the inventory. But if you're only doing rule-based repricing or just targeting the buy box 100% of the time, ultimately you are going to drive that price down. So what I do instead, I still monitor very frequently our listings, but I just look what's a healthy minimum price. And maximum, we actually don't go that much higher. So the thing is, I don't want it because this is AI. And one of the best parts about SellerSnap is their yo-yo feature. So with the yo-yo, I can tell it, hey, let's target the buy box. We're going to go down there, compete, match the buy box price. And then what it does is shoots the price back up to your max price. So with the yo-yo strategy, let's say I buy a product for 10 bucks, minimum is $19.99. Maximum, I used to do like, hey, $29.99. Like if we're gonna make sales, great, let's make the most amount of profit. This is dependent on your listing, but when they have multiple sellers, it's not likely for it to go to $29.99. And I wasted a lot of time. I probably dropped the ball on a lot of sales by doing this. And instead, a much better method is to identify Keepa, go into SellerSnap. What is the minimum price? What is the maximum price on this Keepa chart for the product over the year, over the last 30 days, 90 days? And what I did instead is I have a very small window. Like my min max window is much smaller. It's probably like $23.99, depending on the Keepa. But this allowed me to, number one, I don't do rule-based repricing where we're just going to continuously drop a penny. I set a minimum floor and I go just a couple dollars higher for the maximum. I make sales at the min most frequently, but I also make sales at our max price. And that's what I wanted to mention about SellerSnap and why I was such a huge fan of them is you'll see it in your managed orders. Like I'll have $19.99, $19.99, $19.99, $23.99. So you do make sales at your max price. Don't know how, don't know why. That's why I let the AI do it, right? There's some things that I want to have control over. I want to say, you know, target this, do that. But other things like let AI do the work. So if you have a really good tool, which SellerSnap is, and you have profitable products, good buy price, set your min, set your max, AI, yo-yo. If you want to be more aggressive, sure, target the buy box even more frequently. But doing this allowed me to, number one, shift my mindset with everything. So as I started to look at Amazon as less reselling and more partnerships and longevity and long-term sustainable relationships, my repricing strategy completely switched. So stopped using a lot of those tools. I stopped even just targeting the buy box. And now I go with this SellerSnap AI algorithm. As we start making sales, we have to see, does it make sense? Am I earning enough sales? If not, that's fine. Go in here, lower it a bit, go $18.99, depending on the competition. But this is a very conscious decision we're making, right? Because based on all of our research before we bought the product, the hardest part about selling on Amazon is getting authorized, authentic accounts. If you can do that and you know what your buy price is, this should not be the hardest part about selling on Amazon. And right now, this is still the hardest part. A lot of people get in, they understand, they make a little money, but then after a while they make no money because they're sourcing products that everyone's getting, doing the same strategies that everyone else is doing, and ultimately you go down to making no money and you don't last as a seller, right? Like, we all want to be here for the long term. So make sure if you are going to do arbitrage, that's totally cool. Has to be authorized product. And ultimately you have to build a team, because if you're going to get into this and start just trying to earn the buy box, you're going to sell through all your inventory, probably not be able to restock it, right? Because it was a clearance deal or whatever. You got to go source more inventory. So you need a team that can assist you with more leads, more flow, all of that. Or you could do this model. You're still going to run into competition. So that's the thing I wanted to mention with repricing and brand direct wholesale. As a reseller, you will run into issues. You will have to compete with sellers. So you're going to need a tool like a Repricer in order to manage your account. So they have different things inside SellerSnap that we do with our brands too. If you have a map pricing, you can set that. Business pricing, international marketplaces, whatever it is, we do it all inside SellerSnap. And if any of you guys want to give SellerSnap a try, click the link in the description below. There's a free trial. You get a little discount with that link, and give it a shot. Sign up for the trial and you will see profits increase relatively quickly if you have enough inventory. And if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. I'm making videos like this all year. Peace.